Hi everyone, thank you for joining the Israel updates this evening. We want to cover, as always, we want to learn who are the people we're praying for. We will have the updates. I have a very interesting segment that I want to share with you about the flags and symbols of the different Palestinian political parties and organizations. That's towards the end. And we will have a Bible study about the book of Amos. Not the entire book, just one of the first chapter. So that's our plan for today. As always, you can always ask me questions. You can write on the chat. You can open your microphone. So just feel absolutely free. Let's start with a few things regarding the people that were killed on October 7th. We are noting the 1 month after the attack. In the Jewish tradition, it basically goes this way. Once a person dies, we bury him. Okay, until the burial, people cannot really mourn for the person that passed away or killed in this case. Okay, they have a different category. They are exempted from all kinds of religious commandments. But once he's buried, they can start what is called the Shiva. The Shiva is the 7 days of mourning. And after that, and people are visiting and comforting the people. And after these 7 days, we wait to the 30th day. And on the 30th day, it's called revealing the gravestone, meaning right after the burial, it's just a pile of dirt on the tomb. And only 30 days later, there's an actual gravestone. And it's not something technical. It takes them 30 days to get the stone or the gravestone. It's not that. That's how we do it. 30 days, and then we put the big stone, the actual gravestone on it. And then after 1 month, people are visiting the tomb, and there's like a prayer for the deceased person, and then the next time they will visit the tomb will be a year later. Okay, it's called in Yiddish. It's called the Yortzeit. The Yortzeit meaning the 1 year Memorial Day. We're not obligated to visit the tombs throughout the year. Some people visit because they want to be close to the person that died, but we're not obligated to do that. We're not even obligated to, maybe the first year, yes, but religiously, I don't think we even have to visit the tomb after that. So many people come for the Memorial Day to see the tomb, to clean it, to light a candle in the tomb, but we're not obligated. We are obligated to commemorate them. There's a certain part of the prayers that we say for them, but I just wanted to note that what we see over here is it says the memorial, okay, the memorial of the 30th day for 1,400 people, and you can see these are in Hebrew. These are the names of the 1,400 that were killed. I cannot read it, of course, it's too small, but just the amount of names, and usually that's how the memorial signs look like. So if someone passed away, it's usually just black and white. It really looks kind of like that. And this is one for the 1,400 victims of these terror attack. A month later, after the attack, they found the remains of this soldier, Roni Eshel. Her parents just didn't know. They just didn't know what happened with her for a whole month. They assumed that she either kidnapped or taken or dead, but they just could not confirm it until today. So that's what you see here. Again, Roni Eshel, one of the soldiers that was killed in the attack in one of the bases that were captured by the terrorists. Same with Yam Glass. Yam Glass, that's the name of this soldier. Yam was also no one knew exactly what happened with her. Her parents also thought she was in Gaza, and her mother was interviewed. She said, "We are sitting Shiva again. We're mourning for her since the 7th of October, so for a whole month now." So this is very, very difficult, of course, for the parents, for the families. Still, bodies are being recovered, and I checked with an expert a few days ago. He said that there are more bodies than and remains that they are still checking. He said that it's probably in the neighborhood of 300. So again, we have certain amount of we have a number, but I'm just letting you know that a month later there are still many people that are kind of missing, which is really heartbreaking. So Jan Grass and Ronnie Eschel. This is a picture of I took earlier in the German colony in Jerusalem. Usually you'll see all kinds of signs about I don't know, events, music festivals, all kinds of programs, all kinds of ads, but no one is doing anything about it because now everything is at halt. Like half the country is either in the reserve service or just too busy with volunteering and helping those who are evacuated. So anyway, no one is publishing anything. There are no ads really, no events, no music festivals, nothing. So there are the pictures of the hostages over here, and that's how it looks like. I think there were 3, actually maybe even 4 of those. I just captured these 3. So we're praying for our hostages. May they return quickly back to their families. There is a chance that 2 prisoners will be released. A child that has some allergy, the life-endangering allergy, and another older woman. But who knows? If you'll hear something about the hostages, until they're released, just don't think about it. It's just a game that Hamas is playing with the minds of Israelis, and we just have to be strong and not to fall for this psychological warfare. So I'm letting you know, if you do hear that on the news, just don't think about it too much, because it's all a game. That's why the Israeli army is deep in Gaza and won't leave until we get all of them, because if we leave, then the negotiations will last pretty much forever. We're praying for the wounded, that they will recover from their emotional trauma and from their physical injuries. We're praying for the dead and their families, the survivors, the soldiers, our brave soldiers that are fighting right now. Yesterday, one of my handyman, like a handyman that I'm familiar with, was here, and he told me his son is in Gaza. So it really touches every Israeli family. Like, you just cannot avoid it. We're praying for the volunteers of Zaka that are still recovering the bodies, and for the protection of the Jewish people in the diaspora, as there is I don't know, like 1,300% rise in anti-Semitic attacks, I guess, in the UK. I'm not sure about the exact statistics in the US, but we're talking about massive wave of anti-Semitism, and one person was killed in Los Angeles by a pro-Palestinian protester. Another woman was stabbed a Jewish woman was stabbed in Lyon, France. And anyway, we're really praying for the protection of our brothers and sisters abroad. So with that, we'll read the Psalm 22. Psalm 22, I know it's pretty loaded. For those who are Christians, I know it's a very important chapter for you. So I decided, although it's long, I decided just to read the entire thing. So let's do it. למנצח על איילת השחר מזמור לדוד, אלי אלי למה עזבתני, רחוק משועתי דברי שאגתי, אלוהי אקרא יומם ולא תענה, ולילה ולא דומיה לי, ואתה הקדוש יושב תהילות ישראל, כך בך בטחו אבותינו, בטחו ותפלטמו, אליך זעקו ונמלטו בך, בטחו ולא בושו, אנכי תולעת ולא איש, חרפת אדם ובזוי עם, כל רואי לעגו לי, יפתיעו בשפה יניעו ראש, גול אל אדוני, ויפלטהו יצילהו כי חפץ בו, כי אתה גוחי מבטן מבטיחי על שדי אמי, עליך השלכתי מרחם, מבטן אמי אלי אתה, אל תרחק ממני כי צרה קרובה כי אין עוזר. סובבוני פרים רבים, אבירי בשן כתרוני, פצוע עלי פיהם, אריה טורף ושואג כמים נשפכתי והתפרדו כל עצמותיי, היה לבי כדונג נמס בתוך מעי, יבש כחרס כוחי, ולשוני ממודבק מלכוחי, ולעפר מוות תשפטני, כי סובבוני כלבים עדת מרעים הקיפוני, כארי ידי ורגלי, אספר כל עצמותיי, המה יביטו יראו בי, יחלקו בגדי להם ועל לבושי יפילו גורל, ואתה אדוני אל תרחק העלותי בעזרתי חושה, הצילה מחרב נפשי, מיד כלב יחידתי, הושיעני מפי אריה, מקרני רמים עניתני, אספרה שמך לאחי, בתוך קהל אהללך, יראה אדוני הללוהו, כל זרע יעקב כבדוהו, וגורו ממנו כל זרע ישראל, כי לא בזה ולא שיקץ עינות עני, ולא הסתיר פניו ממנו, ובשבעו אליו שמע, מאיתך תהילתי בקהל רב נדרי אשלם נגד יראיו, יאכלו ענבים ויסבעו, יהללו אדוני דורשיו, יכיל לבבכם לעד, יזכרו וישובו אל אדוני כל אפסי הארץ, וישתחוו לפניך כל משפחות גויים, כי לאדוני המלוכה ומושל בגויים, אכלו וישתחוו כל דשני הארץ, לפניו יכרעו כל יורדי עפר ונפשו לחייה, זרע יעבדנו יסופר לאדוני לדור, יבואו ויגידו צדקתו לעם נולד כי יעשה. Okay. There is the blessing for the soldiers of the IDF, the Misha Berach, this is the Hebrew one, and we can start the updates very soon. If there are any questions, anything you want to ask, anything you want to add, to express, just feel free to share it. Just open the microphone. Yeah, you're most welcome. Anything that you want to comment before we start the updates? Okay, so we can start the updates. Again, feel free at any point to stop me, write on the chat, go ahead. Okay, so this is something that was circulating earlier. The Israeli soldiers on the beach of Gaza lifting up an Israeli flag and singing Hatikva, the hope, the national anthem of Israel. Our soldiers keep supplying us with entertainment. So over here on the left, these are artillery soldiers that were playing the music of the Titanic on TikTok and pretending to be on the famous ship of the Titanic, only that they are on an artillery. This is an artillery tank. On the right side, again, more and more weddings. Daddy is about to, no daddy, the husband was about to get married, so he invited his reserve soldier friends, and they were wearing this little tutu skirt, and it was very, very hilarious. So let's continue to this part. I'm going to show you a picture that I actually showed you before, but I want to focus on a few details that I didn't notice and I was not aware of them. So on the right side, what you see here is all kinds of pamphlets that were thrown, and I guess they were sent somehow to different parts of the Gaza City, basically telling the people where should they go, like which roads they should go on their way to El Mawasi. El Mawasi is a farmer. It's a type of farming. It's a farming area in southwest, the southern part of the Gaza Strip. This is the area where the settlements, the Jewish settlements, were until 2005. So there were the settlements, and between them there were these this farming area called Mawasi, and the people of the Mawasi, they have all kinds of interesting techniques of how to use the aquifer in a pretty efficient way, how to grow in few levels. It's interesting farms and interesting methods. So the Mawasi is a pretty empty area in the Gaza Strip, and the people are being called to evacuate themselves from Gaza to Mawasi. So that's the map, and they're telling them which road they should take. especially once they are leaving the northern part of Gaza, they're supposed to be safe, not from the Israeli army. The Israeli army is not interested in harming them. They'll be safe from the Hamas terrorists that were shooting them in this area. So this is something that I talked about before. There were civilians that fled from Gaza and were shot by Hamas snipers, and of course Israel was then blamed for killing them, bombarding them, whatever. Although it didn't look anything like bombardment, definitely not. They were shot. These people were shot. From the footage that Hamas released, it's obvious that the people were shot, and we even have all kinds of recordings of conversations between Israeli officers and Gazans, telling them you have to go out, and people are saying no, they're shooting us. We cannot go out. We cannot go south. So and that brings me to the next one. Over here you can actually see a tank, an Israeli tank, overlooking the march of the Gazans evacuating Gaza City in the northern part of Gaza. It's Gaza City plus all kinds of towns near it. Something that I showed this picture before, at least the one on the right, and I didn't notice a detail that in this picture they're lifting up a white flag. I would say, okay, big deal. Like they have a white flag. It's everyone does that when they surrender. Like it's very famously, like people do that when they surrender. They lift a white flag. But this white flag, as far as the Palestinians is concerned, it's a very humiliating feature. It reminds them of 1948. It reminds them of different villagers that took out a white flag and left once the Israeli army approached a certain village or a certain town. So for them, it's not just a okay surrender. It's quite humiliating in the Palestinian context. So here you see this younger lady holding the white flag and the passports, I guess, passports and ID. Anyway, that's how it looks like. Another thing that I want to say about it is that Israel is constantly accused of genocide. It's a part of the whole hashtags are stop the genocide, as if there is a genocide taking place. So as you can see, Israeli tank can easily, if the genocide was actually a part of the plan of the Israeli army, they could definitely kill all these civilians in a matter of minutes. So of course it has nothing to do with what Israel is accused at. Actually, the Israeli army is protecting the people from the snipers of Hamas. And yeah, so if you'll hear the constant blaming, people constantly blaming Israel for genocide, you'll know that it has nothing to do with reality. What you see here is a picture that one of our parliament members posted. It's a picture that was taken just a matter of minutes before the attack started in near kibbutz Karmia, just a minute or two before the lives of these young children, they are 13, 14, completely changed. So they did like a white night. It's called the Night of the Frogs in the kibbutz. I guess they have all kinds of activities. And they took this picture. They all look very happy. And then a minute later, the war started. So these children were saved, but again, just heartbreaking to see. While they're taking this picture, they have no clue what's coming in 60 seconds, and their life changed forever. The life of all Israelis changed forever. What you see here is a trend of the last, I want to say, 2 weeks approximately, and let's start with the picture on the right. So what you see here is a drone, Israeli drone, that is attacking terrorists. So the way they do the command of launching the certain rocket or ammunition is 2, 3, launch. Okay, but the way they say the syllables became super trendy. 2, 3, shager. That's how it sounds. 2, 3, 2, 3. Shager means launch. And the way they break it became super trendy. Like people are saying, "What? That's how they launch these rockets." So the girl over here painted her nails 2, 3, launch, boom. Okay, so this is a part of that famous video that was published by the Israeli Air Force, and I can't tell you how much volume of the social media now in Israel is around this video of the how the Israeli Air Force drones attacks these terrorist units. So just letting you know, that's what's going on now. Another thing that is bothering the not just Israelis but Jews all over the world is that people are ripping the posters of the hostages. So they're trying to fight it in all different ways. One creative way is to take videos, of those who are ripping these posters, and then reverse it. Okay, play it backwards, and then it looks like as if they're helping in putting the posters on, and they publish it, and just it looks very funny. Reservists pretty much everywhere. This was a picture I took earlier today. This guy and his 2 sons taking them to school. That's a part of what's going on here. President Herzog said on the news, "The cup of agony and pain is filled." My question, I'm confused about the difference between the prime minister and the president. Okay, so the prime minister is the actual man in power. The president is doesn't have any power in Israel. He's just for ceremonial purposes, I would say. So it's not really a thing. He's not a political power. He has all kinds of. For example, he can pardon prisoners after a certain amount of years, I guess. But a lot of his job is to ceremonial, let's say. He has to sign the laws that the Knesset passes. He has to sign on them. But again, all of that is ceremonial. Earlier today, I took my son Tavo to a beautiful garden that we have near the German colony. So he has a nice kitchen where he plays. And on our way to that kitchen, I want to show you what we saw. So that's the entrance to that cute garden over there. There's a kind of nature museum and little ponds we fished. It's just a very beautiful place and relaxing place to be. And on this little cardboard, it says selling fruits and vegetables from the Gaza envelope area, meaning from all these kibbutzim that were hit in the attack, we're selling their fruits and vegetables here. So that's one thing. And then on the carob tree, we saw this. We all support the families of the hostages. Children and adults put a sign on the trees on the tree of wishes for hope and encouragement. So you can draw and you can put your blessing from your heart for the return of the hostages safely back home. So what you see here is the carob tree, and these are little notes of prayer and some drawings that people put on the tree. Okay, that's how it looks like. Over here it says, for example, "We're all waiting for you." I mentioned that earlier, I think yesterday it was, about there is the spokesperson of the Israeli army prepared a video of 40-something minutes that is comprised with the videos from the GoPro cameras of the terrorists as they are conducting their terror attack and murdering people, raping people. Horrific video. As much as, again, I didn't watch it, it's not published anywhere. Only decision makers and journalists see that. I understood that in Hollywood they showed it to I guess actors and people in the industry, but it's not out there. And I mentioned that it's yesterday I was talking about the National Council for PTSD and trauma, and they highly recommend not to watch it. So that this organization plus these two Jewish leadership, I would say, organizations, very famous organization in Israel. One is called Sohav. It's a very famous, very important rabbinic organization in Israel, and they all join together in Bet Hillel, House of Hillel. So all these organizations are joining them and say, don't watch it, don't publish it, and don't watch it. So why they say you should not watch it? I want to translate it because it's very much in the discourse, and you're going to hear about this video of the spokesperson of the IDF. So I think you should just be aware of that. Don't watch this horror video. Don't watch videos that desecrate the dead. Okay, I mentioned it's a very important thing in Judaism not to desecrate the honor of the dead. So why shouldn't you watch it? According to the Torah, a person should not harm himself. There is a verse, you should keep your soul tightly, I guess. It's not the exact translation, but you should really keep yourself. And it's proven that watching these horrors it will harm your soul and will scar it. We only have one soul that God gave us, and we're obligated to keep it. Number two, we must not weaken our national stand during this time, and these horrors can weaken us and make the enemy's success larger or greater. Then number three, it's desecrating the dead. These are our brothers and sisters, and the little that we can do for them is to overcome our curiosity and respect them. Even as we are facing evil and unimaginable atrocities. Okay, so these are the reasons they bring up. Don't watch the videos. Instead of that, take a look at the beautiful nation of Israel that is raising up from the ashes to restore his power and dignity. Okay, so I thought this is very important because these are not random organizations. These are very, very influential organizations in Israel, very respected organizations in Israel. And the fact that it's coming with actual professionals from the health, let's go to the health, yeah, but the national, what is that? Can't remember but it's from it's an organization, it's a mental health organization, let's say. The fact that these rabbis are putting it out there and calling people not to watch it is it's not a minor thing. Over here, it's a take on the Haggadah. So Haggadah is a book that we read on Passover. It's not a very long one. So on the Passover Seder, on the Passover meal, the Jewish families are gathering in one table and read the Haggadah. Okay, the Haggadah. And in the Haggadah, that speaks a lot about the Exodus from Egypt. Again, it's Passover. We have a saying that every person should see himself as if he was brought out from Egypt. And over here, again, it's a part of this ongoing campaign to bring the hostages and keep awareness to them and make sure that the government don't neglect them. What you see here, it says, every person is obligated to look at himself as if his son or daughter or his father or mother or brother or sister or his grandfather or grandmother were kidnapped and are held in captivity in Gaza. Okay, so that's the take they did. Every person should, sympathize with them and you should not overlook. Earlier today, I published a video with me in a gas mask. So I'll just say that since the days of Saddam Hussein, in the Home Front Command basically gave gas masks to all Israelis, and they renewed it, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. So since in Sydney, Australia, since they were calling to gas the Jews, I said, okay, maybe I'll make a little video about it, that it will be very difficult for them to gas the Jews, as we do have gas masks. So I'm just letting you know that I have all kinds of short videos that I'm putting out there on YouTube, so you can, if you want, you can watch them. But also, again, it just shows you the how sick, in a way, how sick the protesters of the pro-Palestinian protesters are. Like, who says such a thing? I mean, if you have a certain cause, you can just demonstrate for the cause. But and we'll get to that later. They call for the annihilation of Israel, basically. A little bit of criticism is still ongoing. Again, I'm giving just bits of that. It's not something that I'll always do, but every now and then I'll share it with you. So over here, there's a massive criticism against Netanyahu for moving from his official residence, not official residence, his private home in Jerusalem to some villa of some multi-billionaire that gave it to him. And they are sitting and they have their private chef, and it's like very decadent, I would say. And then Sarah, the wife of Benjamin Netanyahu, is saying, I hope it's not too difficult for the children with all the demonstrations of the anti-Semites abroad. So his two children, together they have two sons that are now in Florida. So that's, again, this ongoing criticism that, okay, we're sending our children to the reserve, like more than 300,000 soldiers are now in 300,000 reserve army soldiers are now giving everything they can, and these the children of this couple of our prime minister they're safely in Florida. Okay, so that's one thing. About the Arab Israelis, so there's an ongoing trend to mock Arab Israelis and actually Muslims abroad, or not necessarily even Muslims, just whoever sympathize with Hamas and with this Palestinian cause, and speak against Israel. The trend is to take their photos and put it with this funny Israeli frame and says, I stand with Israel, and you see the Israeli flag and the gay flag and the pride flag, and of course it's they tag them and all that. They give a lot of trouble to them. So this is one of the ways to hurt those who are against us. Just sharing with you what is going on our social media. And over here on the right side, there's a guy that made a filter of Free Palestine, but it actually says that in Arabic it says Hamas is ISIS and Hamas kills babies. Okay, so many people do that as if they think they sympathize with the Palestinian cause, but actually they spread the message that Hamas is ISIS. In the West, a few things that I want to share here. This one are supporters of the Palestinians that are called out: Roger Waters, Angelina Jolie, the Hadid family, Greta Thunberg. And it says 240 hostages ages 1 to 85 were kidnapped on October 7th. Stop ignoring facts. Learn before you speak. Okay, so they are kidnapped by ignorance. Okay, so anyway, they are called to be more informative and not to spread misinformation, not to ignore facts, I guess. The BBC is just mocking the BBC as if the Twin Towers ran into an airplane. Protests are organized against the towers. Okay, so we're the victims, but you're protesting against us, and that's this one. Sadly, I didn't check what was the source of it. I mean, I saw it, but I couldn't remember, and just a screenshot that I took, and I just forgot where I saw this survey. So I tried to find it before the session, not unsuccessfully, but this is something that I want to show you. It's some reliable source, but but I don't have it. I can't remember the name. So if I'll find it, maybe I'll just send it to you on the WhatsApp group. What you see here is these two questions, and take a look at the ages and the answers. Do you think the Hamas killing of 1,200, now 1,400 Israeli civilians or Israel on Israel can be justified by the grievances of Palestinians, or it is not justified? Okay, so the attack is justified or not because of what the Palestinians are going through. So most people are saying not justified, okay, 76%. But if you look at the numbers, okay, of the ages, okay, so how it's a disparity between the ages. So the younger generation is pretty much saying it's justified, okay, so 51 or 48% justifies it. Okay, the older people get, then they tend to not justify it. Then there's another question. Do you think that the attacks on Jews were genocidal in nature or not genocidal? Okay, meaning if they target not just these specific victims, but the purpose is to attack the Jewish people and eliminate the Jewish people. So 75% yes, it is genocidal, but once again, take a look at the ages, okay? So genocidal, 62% saying it is genocidal, meaning they agree that it's because the Palestinians suffered and therefore they should be genocidal. I guess this is one way to interpret it. The higher it gets, okay, over here you can see the older people get, they tend to say it's it is genocidal, but because, for example, age 65 plus, they say it's genocidal and it's not justified, okay? But over here you can make a different correlation, I guess. So this is one way to put it, but anyway, you can draw your own conclusion from it. Just want to share this these numbers with you. I mentioned the farmers from Montana and I think Arkansas too, working in different parts of Judea and Samaria, not in the Gaza envelope actually. And the reason was because there are many farmers, Israeli farmers, that are in reserve. So they're not in their fields, they can't take care of their farms, and therefore these people volunteered to help in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. This is another funny thing that happened yesterday. There was a guy that started to sell Free Palestine shirts on Amazon, but a certain percentage of the income he will get is donated to the Israeli army. So he made like a whole video about it. It was also very, very funny. So this guy, again, somewhat anonymous, but I think he does represent something that is special. His name is, I guess, Lior Bit. But he's Jewish. He lives in America, and he said that my mother is Iraqi Jew, my father is Ashkenazi Jew. She fled from Iraq because Jews were persecuted there in the, I guess, 1970s, 1960s, I think he is, or 50s maybe, probably 50s. And his father he's basically, his grandparents are Holocaust survivors. So he's a young American Jewish person. As you can see, he has all these tattoos, and he didn't really took seriously his Jewish identity until what happened now, until the attack and the anti-Semitic response of many people on the streets of, I guess, America and Europe. So he was deeply influenced by that, and he made a video about how it's actually encouraged him to strengthen his Jewish identity and reconnect his Jewish identity because of that. So this is not new, I must say. In Jewish history, we have all these national traumas, I guess, that draw people back into the Jewish identity. There is in Hebrew, it's the phrase goes, כשיהודים לא עושים קידוש, הגויים עושים הבדלה. Meaning, when Jews don't do the kiddush, meaning they don't keep Shabbat, or they're not loyal to their faith and their identity, then the goyim, meaning the nations, I'll just say that the goyim is not a derogatory term. Some people think goyim is derogatory. It's not, okay? So just letting you know. But the goyim, the nations, are making havdalah. Havdalah is what ends, it's a pawn, okay? So Havdalah is the blessing that ends Shabbat. Kiddush is what starts Shabbat, and Havdalah is what ends Shabbat. But Havdalah is also means they discriminate you, okay? They discriminate against you. So that's a realization of this young Jewish man that was just shared, very spontaneous, and that's it. I mean, and when you look at the Bible and you look at all the national traumas that Jews went through, a lot of that has to do with abandoning God, abandoning his commandments, abandoning the Jewish identity in a way, forgetting about it or trying to forget about it, trying to assimilate and forget about your roots, and then some catastrophe happens. And famous example from the Bible is the Book of Esther. So Mordecai is completely assimilated, seems like a complete assimilated Jewish person in Persia. Okay, he's very close to the palace. He's well connected. His name is Mordecai, which is actually Morduk. It's some Babylonian deity, I guess. It's not even a Hebrew name. That's my point. And then all that happened. Haman is plotting against the Jewish people, and then Esther and Mordecai saves them. So that's another example. So from the days of the Bible all the way to this young gentleman, Jews that tend to forget, someone make sure to remind them of their Jewish identity. So I thought this video was very interesting, and I'm sure he's not the only one. So what I'm trying to do in these updates is to try and show you the undercurrents that moves things. These are the type of things that you won't see on the news because, okay, it's just a random person admitting that he maybe should reconnect to his Jewish identity. No, this is really the undercurrents that are going on right now, and that's why I think this is very, 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 very relevant. Today in UCLA, hundreds of students chanting, and this is an actual video, so you can hear them chanting that. Okay, so today in UCLA, hundreds of students chanting, "Israel, Israel, you can't hide. We want Jewish genocide." This is not 1930s Germany. This is in Los Angeles today, October 26, 2023. Okay, so in the video, you hear it. It's very clear. So this guy's posted a sign on, I guess it's a restaurant, I'm not sure, a restaurant or some kind of business. Jews not allowed with the flag of Israel. Okay, so that's in Turkey. In Japan, on the other hand, this is in Tokyo, Shibuya Square in Tokyo. There was actually a rally or a rally for Israel. I think they were even singing in Hebrew, if I remember correctly. So we also have our supporters abroad. I want to say something about the prayers. I mean, this is not unusual. You probably, if you live in, I guess, in Britain for sure, but maybe in some parts of America, when Muslims are praying, they pray in rows. Okay, and I want to say something about it. It creates the warrior's mentality. So what does it mean? It means that when Muslims are praying shoulder to shoulder, they don't let Satan run away from them. They can't just go between them and disappear. They are fighting shoulder to shoulder in their attack against their evil inclination, I guess. Against Satan, basically, against temptation, etc., etc. So they're in a row, shoulder to shoulder. Okay, that's how the Muslim prayer is conducted. But it's not just, okay, nice idea, okay, to fight against Satan. But the whole point is that you're creating a mentality of warriors, standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder. So just like we are praying to God and trying to defeat Satan, we can also defeat the enemies of Islam. So that's the warrior's mentality, that this all, like, just imagine it's 5 times a day. It's very, very repetitive. And when you do that all your life, you are already mentally or more prepared for battle. So I just thought I'll share that with you. It's not my interpretation. This is what Islam say about the way the prayer is organized. Okay, so don't think that I'm just coming up with stuff. Okay, so let's continue. In Gaza, there was this official that was talking about how strong Hamas is and we're fighting, etc., etc. And then a guy came behind him and says, "God will revenge from you, Hamas. I petition, I guess. I petition against you. I petition to Allah against you, Hamas. Okay, so I hope that this is pretty much the right translation. And I heard it in Arabic. I heard the video. That's what he basically says. He's really cursing Hamas essentially. So that was very interesting thing to see. Another thing is these Hamas terrorists that are shooting from mortar shells, okay? And take a look, they don't have any uniforms, okay? They look like civilians. And because the Israeli Air Force knows how to detect and find these launchers, either rocket launchers or in this case, mortar, it knows how to find them. They will shoot a rocket, they will kill them. They will shoot a missile, they will kill them. And then Hamas will claim these are civilians. So you see, so this all the reports about the casualties in Gaza from Gaza, you really have to take them with a grain of salt because it's all very much manipulated. Okay, first of all, so this is the source. The Ministry of Health in Gaza is ran by Hamas. Okay, so if they say 6,000 children died, then 6,000 children died. Child could be 16 years old, 17 years old. Maybe even he's already in Hamas as an actual soldier or an actual terrorist, okay? But he will still be counted as a child. Okay. So you can't really say, and especially when they are dressing up like civilians, it makes it harder. So no one can really prove it. Over here, that was quite interesting to see. This was published some Arab guy, I guess. But what it says over here is that TikTok removed this video more than once because because it had weapon in it. Let TikTok know that it's made of plastic. Okay, that's what it says in Arabic. Okay, and then okay, doesn't matter that it's made of course it's made of plastic. These are children, but why do they hold so much weapon to begin with? Because this is a part of their games, of course. And so that's what you see over here. And these are all kinds of, again, this is from a few days ago. So that's the government media office in Gaza. They published, these statistics about how many casualties, 10,000 plus, how many people were injured, 25,000 plus, how many had to leave their homes, 1.5 million. Again, these are their numbers, of course, and then they describe how many buildings were destroyed, 222,000, how many, anyway, all kinds of numbers. The interesting part is that beside of the government media office, okay, let's say this is like a legit Palestinian outlet, okay, on the right side, it actually says Tufan al-Aqsa, the name of the operation according to Hamas. Tufan al-Aqsa means the great floods of al-Aqsa, okay, meaning there will be great flood on the Jews, will kill them, and this is all for al-Aqsa, okay. So, okay, now you can see that the Palestinian Authority and Hamas are basically one. Okay, they are really joint forces, although they have their hostility for the purpose of this operation, pretty much together. On the left side, this is Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. He is the important spiritual leader of Hamas since the 80s. He was killed by Israel during the second Intifada. I can't remember, probably 2003. He was killed by Israel, and they have a rocket. Hamas has a rocket named after him. Okay? So it's some kind of an RPG. So that's the rocket called Yassin. So Rocket Yassin is, or RPG Yassin is named after their spiritual leader. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is it. That's as far as the update's concerned. If you have any questions, any thoughts, just feel absolutely free. Any comments? Okay. So I want to talk about two things in the next two segments. I want to show you some flags and symbols of the Palestinian organizations, and then we'll talk about the book of Amos. So let's start with this. Okay, so I'm not going really to the history of anything. I actually want to show you different elements in these symbols. You don't have to memorize anything. I just want to give you a sense of the Palestinian mindset. Okay, so let's start with the symbol of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. What you see here is that's the name of the organization, Palestinian Liberation Organization, the flag, and take a look at the map. Oh, that's very interesting. This is 64, yeah? This is before 1967. So Israel don't control the West Bank and Gaza and all that. It's under Jordan and Egypt, but the map is quite obviously the map of the entirety British Mandatory Palestine. And I'll also say that it doesn't have the Golan Heights over here. It's not the exact size, okay, but over here we have the Golan Heights. So they don't have the Golan Heights. Why? Because it belongs to Syria. So in none of the maps you'll see any claim of the Palestinians for the Golan Heights, because it doesn't belong to them, it belongs to Syria. Okay, that's very nice of them, but what basically is going on here is that they consider the borders of British Mandatory Palestine as their land. See, they accepted the dictation, the dictate of the British mandate. When it comes to the Golan Heights, this is it's an agreement between the British mandate and the French mandate. So the French controlled Syria and Lebanon. The British controlled the British Mandatory Palestine, Transjordan, Iraq, and they settled, the French and the British settled between them the borders. Okay, so the Palestinians here, they're saying that they're fighting imperialism, they're fighting the West, they're fighting the okay, but they're actually accepting all the borders that were dictated by these European superpowers. Okay, of the 20th century. Hamas is a little different in that. Okay, they do want to liberate Palestine, but as far as they're concerned, the ultimate goal is to be a part of a caliphate. They want to be a part of the Muslim world, basically one caliphate. So in Islam, you're supposed to have one empire, okay, one country, which is as large as possible, stretches from Spain to India, and as much as you can conquer, just conquer. So they do say that one day these borders will be eliminated. Okay, in 2012, 13, 14, ISIS said the same. ISIS said, okay, we want to get rid of the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Sykes-Picot Agreement is that British-French division of the Middle East back in the First World War. Okay, so that's just the first one, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. This is basically the umbrella organization of all the other organizations that I'm going to show you. So a very famous one is Fatah. Okay, that's the party of Yasser Arafat, Abu Mazen, the current president of the Palestinians, and beside of the map that I already talked about and the Palestinian flag, it also has the weapon. Okay, so you can see they're holding guns and the grenade. Okay, and the thing about it is that they do believe that they should liberate the Palestine with force. Okay, it's not just through negotiations or anything like that. About the name Fatah, okay, the actual acronym is Hataf. Hataf, it's supposed to be read backwards. It means Harakat Tahrir Palestine, the movement for the liberation of Palestine. Okay, but they reversed the acronym to Fatah because Fatah is actually an Islamic term of conquest. Fatah means to open, but it also means to conquer. So in Islamic, they are considered to be a secular organization, but they actually they have these Islamic elements in Fatah too. So they're not exactly just secular. I mean, as far as I know, Yasser Arafat was praying all the time, 5 times a day. Abu Mazen, I guess he's also praying. I've seen many pictures of him praying, so I don't know if he's praying 5 times a day or not, but he's definitely not secular. Yeah, so that's Fatah. Hamas, clearly, that's their flag. Take a look with the Shahada, the testimony of faith. There's only one God, and his prophet or messenger is Muhammad. Okay, so that's Hamas flag. And their symbol or logo is this. Hamas means Islamic Movement of Resistance. Okay, Harakat Muqawama Islamiyya. Hamas, that's an acronym. And over here it says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, meaning there's no God but Allah and Muhammad his messenger. And you can see again the map of Palestine on the top, clearly without the Golan Heights. Okay, and swords. So not this weapon, okay, not guns, but the swords. Okay, so we're fighting with the sword. We're going to liberate Al-Aqsa. Okay, so Al-Aqsa, the Dome of the Rock, basically in Jerusalem. That's their main religious site, because the other ones are in Saudi Arabia, Mecca and Medina. Okay, now we're looking at a left terror organization of the Palestinians, the Democratic Front and the Popular Front. As far as I'm aware, both of them were like communist or Marxist, and it's called the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. That's the full name. And take a look at the map. No shocker here, and the star, which is again they're left communist kind of. Here's the Popular Front. What it says, also you see the gun, you see the map, very obvious, and it says Aude, which means return, the right of return, meaning we want to bring the Palestinian refugees back to Jaffa, back to Haifa, back to Akko, back to all the hundreds of villages that were destroyed in 1948. Tadhiya, if I remember correctly, means martyrdom. It's a way to say martyrdom, I guess. I'm not sure if it's the accurate translation, but it makes sense. And tahrir, meaning liberation. Okay, so that's their principle. We want return, we want liberation, and we want we will sacrifice for it. Okay, and again, you see the guns. So all these chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It just resonates with all these left and left organizations and right organizations or Islamic organizations of the Palestinians, the whole map, the whole land, and by force. Okay, this is the Islamic Jihad. Again, same elements, the weapons, the map, Al-Aqsa. Okay, fine. Over here they added a verse. Okay, so this is the verse from the Quran 29:69. And those who strive for us, okay, those who jahadu, meaning those who put efforts, you can hear the word jihad in it, jahadu, it's the same root. We will surely guide them to our ways. And indeed, Allah is with the good, with the doers of good. Okay, so you have to make effort for God, and if you do this effort and you try to do good, God's with you, basically. Okay, that essentially is with you. So that's the verse they chose to have, and it's called the Jihad, the Islamic Jihad movement in Palestine, meaning they're just a part, like just one branch of the international Islamic Jihad movement. Okay, so we're doing it in Palestine, you do the jihad in some other place, and ultimately we'll start a caliphate. That's it. Any questions about the flags? So I showed you the elements. What I cared about is the elements, the map, the weapons, all the different attributes that they have. Anything else? before we move to Amos. Okay. We're good? Okay, let's continue. Amos, chapter 1. So Amos is coming from a place called Tekoa, which is not very far from Jerusalem. I'll show you on the map after that. And he's a shepherd. And the first chapter is actually a prophecy against the different enemies of Israel. Amos lived in the 8th century BC, so 2,800 years before our time. I think the kings were Jeroboam II. He's mainly prophesying in the north, in the kingdom of Israel. So although he's from Judea, his prophetic career is mainly in the north. So here we go. The words of Amos, one of the shepherds of Tekoa, the vision he saw concerning Israel 2 years before the earthquake, when Uzziah was king of Judah and Jeroboam, that's Jeroboam II, Jeroboam son of Joash, was king of Israel. He said, "The Lord roars from Zion and thunders from Jerusalem. The pastures of the shepherds dry up, and the top of Carmel withers." Okay, these are very fertile lands. Okay, the Carmel, for example, but it's all withers. This is what the Lord says: "For 3 sins of Damascus, even for 4, I will not relent, because she, meaning Damascus, threshed Gilead with sledges having iron teeth. I will send fire on the house of Hazael." Hazael is the king of Aram, the king of Damascus, "that will consume the fortress of Ben-Hadad." Okay. These are the names of the kings over there. "I will break down the gate of Damascus. I will destroy the king who is in the valley of Aven, and the one who holds the scepter in Beth Eden. The people of Aram will go into exile to kill, says the Lord." Okay, so Damascus will be punished for their attack on Israel. Then we're moving to Gaza, which is inhabited by the Philistines. "This is what the Lord says: For 3 sins of Gaza, even for 4, I will not relent. Because she," again Gaza, "took captive whole communities and sold them to Edom," meaning they sold them to the Edomites, the southern tribes. "I will send fire on the walls of Gaza that will consume her fortresses. I will destroy the king of Ashdod." Again, Ashdod is the Philistine city at that point, "and the one who holds the scepter in Ashkelon. I will turn my hand against Ekron." So these are 5 cities of the Philistines. Ashdod, Ashkelon, and Gaza, Ekron, and Gat. These are the 5 cities. I think 4 of them are mentioned here. I think Gat is not mentioned here. "Till the last of the Philistines are dead, says the sovereign Lord. Amid violent winds on stormy day, her king will go into exile, he and his officials together, says the Lord." Okay, so what really captured my eyes is because Gaza took captive whole communities and sold them to Edom. So whole communities in Kibbutz Nir Oz, for example, there are, I want to say 75 maybe, people that were kidnapped from one kibbutz. It's unreal. Kfar Aza and others, maybe 20 or 30 from each kibbutz. In some places, just 5 people. But Nir Oz really, almost 20% of the kibbutz is kidnapped in Gaza now. 20%. "This is what the Lord says: For 3 sins of Tyre," Tyre is in Lebanon, "even for 4, I will not relent, because she sold whole communities of captives to Edom." And we know the strong connection between Hezbollah and Hamas. Basically, they are both proxies of Iran. They communicate between another. The officials of Hamas, the leadership, is not just in Qatar. They're also in Lebanon. They're also in Beirut, coordinating it with Hezbollah. So that's why they're blamed for the same thing. It's quite interesting. Captives to Edom, disregarding a treaty of brotherhood. The treaty of brotherhood is actually between Hiram, the king of Tyre, and King Solomon. So there is a famous connection between Tyre and Jerusalem, as the king Hiram helped with cedar trees and it sent them to Jerusalem. Basically helped building the temple. So they betrayed this, disregarding a treaty of brotherhood. I will send fire on the walls of Tyre that will consume her fortresses. This is what the Lord says. For 3 sins of Edom, even for 4, I will not relent, because he pursued his brother with a sword and slaughtered the women of the land, because his anger raged continually and his fury flamed unchecked. He's not restraining himself. I will send fire on Teman that will consume the fortress of Bozrah. And lastly, this is what the Lord says: for 3 sins of Ammon, Ammon is in Transjordan, even for 4, I will not relent, because he ripped open the pregnant women of Gilead. I don't know if you're aware of the atrocities that happened, but it's already mentioned in the Bible. In order to extend his borders, I will set fire to the walls of Rabbah that will consume her fortress amid war cries on the day of battle, amid violent winds on a stormy day. Her king will go into exile, he and his officials together, says the Lord. Okay, so Amos the prophet is talking to 5 areas. Okay, to Damascus and Gaza. Damascus northeast, the people of Aram, Gaza, the Philistines, Tyre, that's the Phoenicians, Edom, it's in the south, and Ammon is on the east. So in all directions, the kingdoms of Israel and Judea are surrounded. Let me just show you on Google Earth really quick. Okay, maybe like this. Okay, so that's the map of Israel. Jerusalem is over here in the heart of the country, and just south of it we have Tekoa, somewhere here, Tekoa. So this is the modern Tekoa, and that's the Palestinian Tekoa, and this is the actual biblical Tekoa. Like this hill is biblical Tekoa, just over here. This is where Amos is from, south of Jerusalem. The king of Judea is in the south, Jerusalem to Beersheba, basically, roughly, okay? But from Jerusalem to the north, this is the northern kingdom, and in this context, you can see basically what Amos is doing. Let's just, 1 second. I didn't position it very well. 1 second. Okay, maybe like that. Okay, so he's talking to Damascus, the people of Aram. He's talking to Gaza, the Philistines, to the Phoenicians in Tyre, to the Edomites, which are on the south, let's say in this area. I mean, they're just in the south. It could be nomadic, it could be all this area south, and the Ammon, which is here. Okay, so he's talking against all these kingdoms that are plotting against Israel, essentially. Okay, so I thought this text will be interesting to you, and that's it. You and I were discussing shepherds today. That's correct. See? So Amos is another source for you to learn about shepherds, I guess. Okay, Jeffrey. That's it. So that's what I want to share with you. I'm trying to give as many updates as much as I can, but there is a chance that I did 3 this week and last week. I hope to stay on 2 or 3 every week. But I just starting to have all kinds of projects that I have to take care of. So that's it. If there are any questions, if you want to post write anything on the chat or open the microphone, you're most welcome. Okay, thank you very much, Jeffrey, Salian. Mihai. Yeah. You're well. So that's it. Of course, it's recorded. It will be on YouTube, and that's all. So thank you very much, and all the best, guys. I'll see you next week. It's Thursday now, so after Shabbat. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.